Samey 90s, The Great Barn Robbery. What's she doing there for so long? Berry Punch sighed, sitting on the ground. She rested herself against an apple tree and took a hip flask from the inner pocket of her catsuit. Don't worry, Dash has everything covered, Vinyl said, watching the house through the binoculars. All the windows were dark, and there was no pony in sight. Yeah, right. Berry Punch took a sip from the flask and winced. I'd rather not be here if she gets caught. 10 more minutes and I'm leaving. Think of the cider! Yeah, I'm thinking about it all the time, along with the pissed-off mare who will use our bodies as fertilizer if she catches us. No way. She's a good pony and Dash is her friend. Vinyl sat near Berry Punch, levitated a cigarette she was keeping behind her ear, and lit it up with her magic. Buck! Berry exclaimed as the blue halo temporarily blinded her. Can you stop playing with your horn? They'll see us, and we'll end up with a load of buckshot in our flanks. I'm not playing with my horn. Mommy said one could get blind from that, Vinyl deadpanned. She exhaled the smoke and looked around to make sure no pony was coming. Berry covered her face with her hooves. At least remember to take the butt with yourself. You know, this fancy DNA thing. Don't worry, they'll think it was Scootaloo. What? Scootaloo smokes? They almost screamed when they heard the voice behind their backs. Vinyl's cigarette slid from her magic grasp, burning a hole in her catsuit. They spun to see Rainbow Dash hovering behind them with a guilty expression. Well, she smoked, Vinyl said when her heartbeat slowed down to the normal rate. I saw her smoking behind my house last week. I gotta have a serious talk with her. Not necessarily. She got sick, Vinyl smirked. How sick? Asked Rainbow Dash, with concern in her voice. Hoo boy, just like me when I drink too much champagne. Really, last time I did that, I spent half the night embracing that Berry Punch cleared her throat. Girls, aren't you forgetting something? Rainbow Dash's mind immediately drifted off of Scootaloo, Vinyl, and their digestive problems. I have the key, she said. Great! Now it's time for the next part of the plan. So here it is, Vinyl said, lifting the curtain. Please excuse the crudity of this model as I didn't have time to build it or to scale or paint it. They were sitting around the ping-pong table in Vinyl's basement, a small room crowded with turntables, speakers, and various other equipments. The maquette of Sweet Apple Acres, built of cardboard, safety matches, and bottle caps, was occupying most of the table. It was very detailed, complete with action figures of Applejack, Big Macintosh, Apple Bloom, and Granny Smith placed around the orchid. Okay, Rainbow Dash pointed at the certain place in the fence. The gate is closed at night, but there's a small hole here, so you two can get through it. Then we'll have to go to the house. Why? Berry Punch asked. At night the whole family will be at home. She took the action figures of the Apple family and placed them in the cardboard hut in the middle of the maquette. That's the problem. Applejack keeps the key to the barn in her room. So why bother with the key? Vinyl asked. I know one spell. Your one spell will wake up every pony in a 10-mile radius. We'll go to the house. You'll stay on guard and I'll fly up to her window and take the key. As she was speaking, Vinyl levitated another 3 action figures and put them in appropriate positions on the model. Berry Punch rose her eyebrows. Okay, Vinyl, I can get that you're vain enough to have an action figure of yourself. But us? That's getting creepy. They're custom. I made them when I was preparing this, Vinyl explained, blushing. Rainbow Dash cleared her throat. When they turned back to her, she continued. Okay, so I'll take the key and we'll go here. She moved the action figures to one of the barns. Then we'll open it to get cider? Asked Berry Punch with hope in her voice. No. In that barn there's a key to another barn. Applejack thinks it's very clever, but I know exactly where it's hidden. Right. So then we have the key to the barn with the key to the barn with the cider, Vinyl asked. Exactly. Then we'll go to that barn and take exactly 6 barrels of cider. Why 6? Berry asked. Let's go Van Banke. Sorry, Berry, but you're not a criminal mastermind. Rainbow Dash shook her head. We know from our tests that Vinyl can levitate 4 barrels at once, and we can each take 1 barrel each. Also, it's easier to share 6 barrels between 3 ponies. You know what? When it comes to stealing cider, you sound like Twilight Sparkle, Berry said. Yeah. Also, Applejack will never notice the 6 barrels went missing. At least I hope so. Some pony knocked at the basement door. Not now, Taffy, Vinyl shouted. I'm busy making secret plans. Vinyl, you spent most of the week building a doll-scale replica of Sweet Apple Acres, so your secret plans either involve stealing the cider or turning every pony in the town into dolls so they can be friends with you forever. Open the door! Oh, damn it, Barry muttered. She'll tell everybody. I brought snacks for you and your friends. Vinyl immediately opened the door. Octavia came down the stairs and sighed, seeing the model on the table. Just in case, she said. I have the money to bail only one of you. Good. Vinyl smiled and turned to her partners in crime. Do you have money too? Who said I'm going to bail you? Octavia smirked, put the tray on the only free piece of table. Vinyl's ears drooped. By the way, I was looking for my bow and I found an action figure of me next to your playmare stash. Do you realize how creepy that is? Great. I'm not alone, Barry chuckled. Oh, Taffy, you know how much I love you. Vinyl smiled sheepishly, trying to embrace Octavia, who dodged her with ease. This'll never happen, she said. We're just roommates. No pony can drink so much cider to fall in love with you, Scratch. With these words, she turned around and went upstairs. Still in the friend zone, huh? Barry chirped, poking Vinyl. It's just temporary problems, said the DJ, staring at Octavia's flank as she was walking up the stairs. Barry followed her gaze. You have a problem, girl, she deadpanned. It's called sexual harassment. Oh, shut up! Rainbow Dash cleared her throat. They both looked at her. So, the Pegasus said, as if no pony interrupted them, when we get out with the cider... Why is this suit so tight? Barry muttered when they were walking through the orchard, looking for the barn. It's not the suit, it's your flank, Vinyl explained calmly, earning a nasty glare from the earth mare. She looked upwards to see Rainbow Dash flying above them and watching the roads with binoculars. We're close, she said. It's all too easy, Barry murmured. I think it might be a trap. Hey, getting that key wasn't easy, Rainbow Dash exclaimed. Yeah? Why did it take you so long? Vinyl asked. Silent like a morning breeze, Rainbow Dash landed on the sill and opened the window. She stepped inside, carefully choosing the boards on which she put her hooves. Last time she had visited Applejack, she carefully checked exactly which of them were creaking, and now all she had to do was avoid them. They were planning for this for ages. Since Big Macintosh accidentally told Barry that Applejack kept a large stash of cider in one of her barns, she wanted to put her hooves on it. This, however, required careful planning and competent partners. Rainbow Dash could provide both, with their great knowledge of Sweet Apple Acres and the apple family's habitats. After a while, they decided that they'd need a unicorn to carry the barrels for them, and since Twilight and Rarity were out of the question, they decided to ask Vinyl Scratch for help. Applejack was sleeping in bed, with a chain with a key hanging from her neck. Rainbow Dash looked up at her and smiled. She made a few steps toward the bed and carefully reached her hoof. Applejack muttered something incoherently, turning away from her. Rainbow Dash cursed under her breath. Dashy, Applejack moaned. Rainbow Dash froze, eyes wide in horror. For a moment she stopped breathing, hoping in vain to slow her heartbeat too. Dashy, your wings, so strong. Rainbow Dash blushed. Applejack turned in her bed again, the key inches from the Pegasus' hoof. Come, kiss me. Stupid wings were heterosexual, remember? Rainbow Dash scolded. Maybe next time, Jackie. Now I have to... She quickly reached for the key and unchained it. I want to marry you, Dashy, Applejack whispered in her sleep. Maybe tomorrow, okay? Rainbow Dash whispered, backpedaling. For a moment she felt bad about what she was going to do, but then she thought about the cider. Stay with me. She reached Rainbow Dash with her foreleg, and for a moment their hooves connected. There was something in Applejack's groggy voice that made Rainbow Dash think about the consequences of her action. If Applejack found out that her cider had disappeared, she'd be sad. If she'd be sad, she'd look for some pony to comfort her, and she'd never suspect a friend who'd come to offer her tea and sympathy during the hard times, right? Rainbow Dash liked that idea. She quickly spun, and suddenly found one of her hooves landed on a creaking board. The ominous sound echoed through the farmhouse with the volume of an incoming herd of dragons during their mating season. Rainbow Dash felt her catsuit getting wet from sweat. She closed her eyes and tucked her wings to her side, trying to be as small as possible. Applejack only snored. After painfully long few seconds, Dash sighed with relief and jumped out the window. So here we are. Rainbow Dash landed in front of them and pointed to the building in front of them. The barn number 1. She went to the gate and took the key from a catsuit. She put it in the hole and turned it, then pushed the door. Strange, she muttered. They're open, but something blocks them from the inside. Did you try to pull them? Unfortunately, Vinyl, only your door swings both ways, if you catch my drift. Rainbow Dash replied. What? No need to push it. I know, I live there. Well, apparently you don't. We're screwed, Berry Punch deadpanned. Not exactly, Vinyl pointed upward. There's a small window there. Rainbow Dash flew towards the window, examining it. It's too small for me, she said. Hey, maybe it's time for Miss Friend-Zoned Skinny Plot to show off. Berry Punch stared at Vinyl, grinning maliciously. What? Never! I'm scared of heights. Why don't we take you instead? Keep calm, Vinyl, Rainbow Dash muttered, carrying the DJ in her hooves. Vinyl was shivering slightly, her eyes closed and forelegs wrapped tightly around the Pegasus's neck. Why didn't we take Berry? Because, as she put it, you're a bag of bones with a 100-watt light bulb attached to the forehead, and she has huge earth pony flanks. Relax, it's only a few more inches. Set the royal guard to the princess, Berry exclaimed as loud as she could while still whispering. Rainbow Dash made an attempt to face hoof while Vinyl slipped from her hooves, catching her tail with her teeth at the last moment. Dash hissed in pain, but suddenly felt that Vinyl had stopped shivering. She looked down and found the cause. If you don't stop staring at my flank, you're going to land down there with a trace of my hoofshoe imprinted on your face, she muttered through the gritted teeth. Vinyl immediately turned her gaze away. She murmured something illegible, nothing unusual for some pony, holding the other pony's tail in her mouth. She said that she was only admiring your cutie mark. If the great old ones didn't want us to stare at each other's flanks, they'd put our cutie mark somewhere else. That, or you sat on something gross. Not sure, Berry said. Rainbow Dash only sighed and flapped her wings harder. Finally, the DJ stood on the sill. Trying not to look down, she crept on a timber supporting the roof. Rainbow Dash landed next to Berry Punch, waiting for the unicorn to open the door. Maybe we underestimate her, she said. So far, she's stealthy like a ninja. Thud. That sounded like a unicorn hitting the ground, don't you think? Berry asked. More weird sounds followed. Some ponies screamed, muffled shouts, hoof steps, the sound of magical beams being fired. So much for being stealthy. We'd better run. Just when they were going to flee, the door to the barn opened and Vinyl stood in front of them. She had a black eye, and her catsuit was torn in a few places. Come here, girls. We have a problem. Rainbow Dash gulped, seeing the barn's interior was full of spiders and even several fruit bats hanging from the ceiling. The only source of light was Vinyl's magic, at the moment pinning 2 ponies to the walls. Apple Bloom? Rainbow Dash exclaimed. What are you... Ah, I see, she said, taking a look at the other pony, a light blue colt with a dark blue mane. She wasn't sure, but his name was probably Shady Days. We need to kill them, Vinyl said. They know too much. Yeah, because Applejack totally wouldn't suspect anything if her sister disappears. Berry Punch deadpanned. She took a look around the barn and noticed some blankets and pillows in one of the corners, surrounded by candles, an empty bottle of cider, and 2 remains of apple pies. It's not like what it looks like, Apple Bloom shouted. Yeah, right, Berry smirked. Listen, kid, I was in your age too. Let's make a deal. We haven't seen you here, and you haven't seen us here, okay? Okay. Vinyl released them. Vinyl reluctantly followed the order. Rainbow Dash went to the stack of hay and started to search through it. Hey! Apple Bloom shouted. It's not part of the deal. Rainbow Dash sighed. Listen, Apple Bloom, why don't you say goodbye to your new friend and go home? We have something to do here. The key isn't there. What? Rainbow Dash ran to the filly. Where is it? I may or may not know that. Apple Bloom smiled innocently. A Vinyl stepped forward, making an expression that, in darkness, could be mistaken for a professional smile. How much? She asked, searching through her pockets. 20 bits. 18? 20. Apple Bloom looked directly into the DJ's eyes. No pony could withstand against that stare for long. I only have 15, said Vinyl, almost crying. Girls, do you have something? Rainbow Dash shook her head. Berry looked through her pockets, accidentally tearing her catsuit, but finally found a note. I only have 50 bits. 50 will do. Apple Bloom smirked. What? You wanted 20, you little ungrateful... Or I'll go to Applejack. Fine. Berry sighed and gave the note to Apple Bloom. And 15 for him, the filly pointed to Shady Days, who was still sitting in the corner with a sad expression. For aggravated damages. Berry muttered something under her breath, offending probably not only Apple Bloom's late parents, but also Granny Smith, Pinkie Pie, and several other of her relatives. What aggravated damages? He bucked me in the face. You wish, baby. Shady Days smirked. Vinyl frowned and told him, sparing no details, where he could stick her 15 bits, but finally levitated the money to him. You'd better spend it on some protection, she said. Applejack probably won't be pleased if another audacious brat like you's running around. Yeah, listen to her, kids, Berry Punch laughed. Her parents didn't use condoms, and look what happened. Vinyl sent her a glare expressing pure contempt. Rainbow Dash turned to Apple Bloom. So where's the key? Oh, I gave it to Lyra. What? She paid me 100 bits and promised to borrow a book from the adult section of Twilight's library for me. What book? Vinyl asked. Rainbow Dash didn't hear the reply, too busy slamming her hoof against her forehead and refraining herself from using words no filly should know. If I were y'all, I'd hurry, said Apple Bloom, clearly enjoying the situation. Lyra and Bonbon are probably on their way to the cider. Rainbow Dash perked up. Her pupils shrunk to pinpricks. Berry and Vinyl looked at her with understanding. Come on, girls, they're stealing our cider, a Pegasus shouted. They darted forward, running out of the barn. Apple Bloom sighed and turned to Shady Days, wrapping her hoof around him. So, were we finished? She asked, smiling at him. No respect for older ponies, Vinyl panted, galloping through the orchard. That's simply, Rarity would say, egregious, Rainbow Dash prompted. She was trying to fly and look at her companion simultaneously, which almost resulted with a crash. That's simply egregious. Outrageous, even. Kids these days, they only think about money. Capitalism, Bear concluded. Adapt or die. Really, that filly's cutie mark should be a fat pony wearing a cylinder, sucking on the proletariat's blood. Vinyl, are you high? Barry glared at the DJ, who was still rambling. I hope she chokes on apples someday. Hey, it's my friend's sister we're talking about. An obnoxious little brat, but still, it's almost a family, Rainbow Dash shouted. They approached the barn slowly and saw that the door was open. Now careful, ponies, she whispered, creeping into the building. They heard excited voices from the inside. Avanti! Vinyl shouted, darting forward. She entered the barn, and soon they heard punches and the sounds of barrels smashing on the floor. Let me guess, we need to help her, Rainbow Dash asked, watching the scene with disbelief. They trotted to the barn and stopped upon seeing what was happening inside. Several barrels were smashed, changing the ground into a cider-smelling mud. Bonbon was hiding behind another barrel, watching in horror as Vinyl and Lyra were fighting in the middle of the barn. A gold magic bolt hit another barrel, obliterating it. Lyra watched, stunned, before Vinyl tackled her, only to be thrown into the opposite wall with the green unicorn's magic. She slowly got up and charged back at Lyra. Do you think we should go there? Berry Punch asked. Well, my loyalty says yes, but my wings say to stay here and enjoy the show. How about you? My common sense says that going between two unicorns can't end well. The fighting reached the deadlock. Vinyl managed to catch Lyra's mane, making her unable to aim her horn at her, and punched her repeatedly with the hoof. But meanwhile, Lyra was strangling her, kicking and screaming. Berry Punch took a hip flask from the sorry remains of her catsuit. Want some? Yeah. For a moment they were drinking in silence, not counting occasional shouts of the fighting mares. Maybe we should ask Bonbon if she wants to drink with us. Yeah, I'll go get her. A magic bolt flew next to Rainbow Dash's face. Or maybe not. Looks like Vinyl's enjoying it. You'd scream like that too if someone tried that on you. Besides, Bonbon is lucky, having such a skilled mare friend. Really, we should intervene. They may hurt each other. Don't think so. They're tired, and it'll end soon. Ouch! Really, unicorns shouldn't headbutt any pony. Also, are limbs supposed to bend that way? Yep. That was close. Really, we should go there before some pony loses an eye. They slowly got up and trotted inside the barn. The sun rose above Sweetapple Acres. On the top of the hill, 3 ponies stood, watching the orchard and the barn in the distance. "Seems that there's a fight there," Applejack said. "I told you, Applebloom, you shouldn't be so greedy. One group at a time." "Hey, I got 100 bits from Lyra and 50 from Berry Punch, and another 100 from Thunderlane, and—" "Okay, enough. Big Mac?" "Time Turner gave me 30 bits for the key to that barn, but he plans to go there tomorrow. Let's hope there'll be something left for him." Applejack turned to Applebloom. "Is it the end of that Cutie Mark Crusaders cider maker thing?" "Yes, sis. But if they taste it, they'll find out that Sweetie made it, and what will they do? Ask for their money back?" Applejack smirked. "There's one thing that I'm pondering about," Big Macintosh said. "What were you doing in the barn at night, Applebloom?" Waiting for some pony to break into it and take the key, of course." "Yeah. Say hello to Shady Days from me," Applejack said, "and invite him to dinner. I'm sure Granny will be pleased to meet him." Applebloom's face suddenly became the same color as her mane. "I'm very good at pretending I'm asleep, you know. Even Dash didn't suspect anything, though I had had a little conversation with her." From the barn came a sound resembling a cider barrel smashing against some pony's head. "I better go and scare them off before they destroy the barn," Applejack said, rising slowly and taking her lasso. "I won't tell that I haven't seen that coming," Octavia said, giving a bag of ice to Vinyl, who put it on her forehead. They were all in the living room of Vinyl in Octavia's place. Vinyl and Lyra, the former with a bandaged head and the latter with an eye patch and a foreleg in a sling, were sitting on the couch, glaring at each other angrily. Bonbon, her mane disheveled and her tail burnt by a smell, kept apologizing to Berry Punch, who was keeping a napkin over her bleeding nose. Rainbow Dash was mostly intact, except for a few scratches and a bite mark on one of her wings. She wasn't sure, but it was probably courtesy of Vinyl and her sudden panic attack when they joined the brawl. "Okay, I guess your secret plans failed miserably?" Octavia asked. "Yeah, kick the dog, Tabby, and pour salt in my wounds," Vinyl muttered. "Oh, Vinny." Octavia smiled and kissed the poor DJ's cheek. "You will always be my little puppy." "Can you two get yourself a room or something?" Barry groaned. "I don't want to nosebleed and vomit at the same time." Octavia stared at her, ready to say something snarky with her Trottingham accent, but then some pony knocked at the door. The cellist went to open it. "Howdy," they heard from the hall. Suddenly, all unresolved conflicts were forgotten. Vinyl and Lyra hid together under the couch, Rainbow Dash flew through the window to the garden, and Barry locked herself in the closet with Bonbon. "I'm glad that you brought cider for them," said Octavia to Applejack when they entered the living room. "Yeah, I think they learned their lesson, but I still feel a bit bad after that," said Applejack. "But where are they?" "Oh, I guess they're not far away." Octavia opened the closet and dodged 2 ponies rolling out of it. I don't know about Barry, but sitting in a closet is not your thing, Bonnie." "Hi, girls," Applejack said. "You want some cider?" You know that I always wanted to know how it is to be sober," Berry Punch asked. "Yeah, you should try it. It's totally awesome," Bonbon replied quickly. "I think it's overrated," Lyra shouted from her concealment. "More overrated," Vinyl muttered. "Ouch!" Vinyl looked in confusion at the couch, which was now jumping on the floor. Several sparks of blue and golden magic burned hole in the upholstery. "You know," Octavia asked, "let's go to the kitchen. I think I really need a drink."